Former Olympic decathlete and reality TV star Caitlyn Jenner officially announced her bid to run for governor of California. Jenner, who is a longtime Republican, filed the initial paperwork this week and is seeking to replace Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom in a recall election. But can Jenner's celebrity status and name recognition yield an upset in the nation's most populous state? We're going to start there for our week in review. Joining me are Neil Headley from the Snooze Button podcast and Jamar McNeil from Chum 104.5. Gentlemen, good to see you this morning. How are you?
Good to see you.
All right, so Jamar, I'm going to start with you. So California is a deep blue state, and Jenner says she is not branding herself as a Trump Republican, but is counting on some of his former president's advisors to support her. Is this a stunt, or do you think she has a chance of winning?
I'm guessing they've done some kind of metrics counting or polling to validate this effort because, you know, running for any office, especially governor, is no small feat. I'm hoping they've done that. But like you said, California is a deep blue state. But I've also seen some numbers that there is a large amount of Republican apathy to the way things have been handled in California regarding the coronavirus, COVID, of course, and also all the social justice movements. A lot of Republican right-leaning people are really bothered with living in California, to say the least, these days. So it will be interesting to see. But I don't know if Caitlyn Jenner is the one for those folks. You know, that group has not been the most vocal for trans and gay rights, and not that is the platform that she's running on, but it will be a large part of her platform, as she said in her statement. So it will be interesting to see. It's a mishmash of a lot of things going on in California.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot ignore the fact that she is a trans person. So, Neil, many Republicans don't believe that trans people should be able to be in the military or get married or adopt a child or have health care. So what's the likelihood of them supporting a trans person to become the governor of California?
I think the state of play right now in American politics is largely that if you have a shot at winning, no matter who you are, they will get behind you and back you, is my sense of it. You know, certainly this is not the first time that a celebrity has come along and run for governor of California. Of course, everybody remembers Schwarzenegger, but let's also not forget the moment in the Back to the Future movie where, you know, Christopher Lloyd hears about, you know, President Reagan and goes, "Ha, President Reagan, you mean the actor?" You know, so it's not necessarily the first time that Californians have looked at somebody that's already got celebrity status. And for the Republicans right now, who are in this weird place, right? There are the Reagan Republicans, and there's the Trump, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan side of the Republican Party that really, it feels like all they care about right now is winning and winning and winning at whatever cost, and winning regardless of what things they have to turn their backs on. And so that might be very, very important when this comes down to it.
Yeah, and Jamar, let's talk about all of these actors or celebrities who are throwing their hat into the race and want to become, you know, politicians, mainly president or governors. For example, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has made mention that he would like to be the president of the United States, as has Will Smith. Matthew McConaughey is actually very close to becoming possibly the next governor of Texas. So what do you make of these celebrities just wanting to kind of jump the queue and go right into the top spot in politics?
And you forgot one from the Kardashian-Jenner clan, Kanye West, as well, who ran for president.
How could I forget? How dare I forget Kanye wants to be president
he'd be very angry that you did that.
Yeah.
But anyway, It's interesting. It's interesting. You know, once again, it's not like we haven't had an actor as a president before, as Neil said, Ronald Reagan. This is happening around the world now, where influence is a metric of popularity. Social media and your social media numbers and visibility and, you know, your overall stardom is now a major metric in so many decisions. Even in my industry, in radio, I've seen all around North America, people who have no radio experience, like they haven't run through the radio farm league of small markets coming up, they're getting radio jobs now just because they're YouTubers or TikTokers and have like massive followings. It's becoming the ultimate ace card for, hey, I can bring you numbers, I can bring you votes, I can bring you ratings. So,
but here's the only problem I have with that. I agree with you, especially if you've worked very hard like you have to get to where you are working in radio, and it's frustrating. But, you know, hosting a radio show, very different than running a country. So do you think we're at the point where the general public just doesn't care about experience for a very important job? And they're just more concerned like, oh, they have 236 million followers, so they must know what they're talking about.
I think there's a segment of people who will play the influencer politics. I mean, Donald Trump didn't have any experience, but he won and almost won again. A lot of people identified with his politics, but a lot of people just thought he was a bad person. So once again, it gets you to that level where at least the campaign managers will work with you. I'll say that. I don't know if we're at the level yet where another celebrity can become president based solely on their influence. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's exactly what we have to do because he still has a long way to go. He has to get Jenner has to get 1 million signatures in order for this to go through. But let's be real. Jenner herself has a lot of followers, as do a lot of her children and stepchildren. I think Kim Kardashian, at last count, I think she has over 200 million followers. So do you think she's going to use the influence of her family members to get her that, you know, those 1 million signatures? Neil, I'm sending that one to you.
Yeah, I don't think there's any shame left in politics. So I don't think the 1 million signatures is even seen as an obstacle right now by anyone in the Jenner clan. Here's the interesting thing, and it dovetails with what Jamar was saying. You know, it used to be, with the exception of maybe John Kennedy, it used to be rare even for a senator to get elected president. Normally, you had to become a governor first, because then at least you ran something. And that was sort of the argument that buttressed Donald Trump's sort of ascendance was, well, yes, he's never run a state, but look, he's run all these companies. And, you know, that was parenthetically into the ground, but no one cared about the into the ground part because at least he ran something. And so that's how he could get over that. I don't know that that's necessarily true in this case. This may be one of those cases where it's pure celebrity that gets you in. And on the subject of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for crying out loud, people, if we're going to put someone with ties to Calgary into the White House, let's let it be The Rock long before it's Ted Cruz, okay?
Well, we'll all have to wait and see how this all turns out. Gentlemen, always a pleasure talking to you once again. Jamar McNeil and Neil Headley. Thanks, guys.
Good seeing you.
Thank you.